Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and in today's video I'll be asking the smartest AI to predict the 2026 midterm elections. But before we get started with the Senate and governor's map in today's video, make sure you guys are subscribed, click the bell so you don't miss all my content. Press the like button and share this video. Don't forget, if you're interested, we do have memberships. You can find links to that in the description section. So the reason why I say the smartest AI, I will be using Claude in today's video. For those of you who don't know Claude, if you do end up paying for the most expensive premium version, the paid for version, I would say it does end up becoming the smartest out of compared to, ChatGPT, Google Gemini, and even Elon Musk Grok on Twitter and X, because you can actually use Claude's most enhanced version. I believe it's $200 a month to actually code things for you. You can code whatever you ask for it to do, making it actually the smartest when you do pay for that premium subscription. So theoretically, I'm not actually lying. So let's begin with the Senate, and then we'll make our way down to the governor's gubernatorial races, starting off with the state of Texas. Ken Paxton going up against James Tallarico, and Claude predicts it's a Tallarico +8 victory, which is very concerning because that is not going to happen at all. If Tallarico does end up losing, he will probably lose by no more than 2 points. I only see Ken Paxton winning max by 2 percentage points, similar to Ted Cruz's margin in 2018. I actually do believe that if he does win, it'll be probably by about a percentage point if Tallarico does not end up winning. So likely margin is kind of shocking, or it is actually. And then you have the state of Alaska. It predicts a Republican +6 victory. That is very interesting. And that's also another likely margin. And then in the state of Georgia, I actually do have Mary Patola winning by about that percent. But instead of Sullivan getting 6, I think Mary Patola wins by about 6 percentage points or so. And then Nebraska, it's lean R, which is kind of funny because don't you think that Texas and Alaska will be voting to the left of Nebraska? But for some reason, this AI actually has it the total opposite. It has +3 for Pete Ricketts. I actually do agree with that amount. I actually think Pete Ricketts wins by 4 points rather than 3, so a little more than that. Doesn't matter, it's still in lean margin. And then you do have the state of Georgia, in which it characterizes it as a toss-up even. But because the incumbent is a Democrat, we will be leaving it as tilt D. And then as for the next state that Claude has predicted, North Carolina will be lean Republican +4. I don't know what it's quite using here, and you can tell I am not using the advanced version, but when you do that, it does end up being the smartest AI compared to ChatGPT, Grok, or Google Gemini, because it can do things that those AIs can't. I disagree with this. Michael Watley should lose. I have Roy Cooper winning by about a 6 percentage point margin, so I really disagree strongly with that. As for the state of Ohio, it characterizes it +6 R for John Husted. I do think he's going to win, but not by about 6 points. That's a likely margin. I think he wins by a lean margin, so probably around 3. I think 3% is a good margin for incumbent Senator John Husted in the state of Ohio. You have Michigan. It says it's a lean Democrat +3 for assuming Abdul El Said defeats Mike Rogers. Then Claude predicts it will be lean D for that. I personally disagree. I think Mike Rogers can win by about a percentage point, as if today it's going to be extremely close. And then as for the state of Maine, it is lean R +4. I've been going back and forth with this state. I kept saying that, Graham Plattner was going to win, and then I changed it back and forth between Plattner and Susan Collins. Right now, I'm leaning towards Collins very slightly just because she's always won here. She's going up with the 6th term, her 6th term for a reason, because she always wins, even though she promised that she'd only run for 2 max. And just with all his, the backlash for his campaign and whatever's the stuff that's coming around him, that's just not good news, all the baggage with Graham Plattner, voters probably will ignore that, and that's the main reason why if he does win, because voters will probably ignore that. And they really don't care at this point. You saw Jones, I believe that's his name, in the state of, Virginia, the Attorney General, I believe that's what it was. He ended up winning, and he had very tough scandals, like super tough scandals that any other politician would probably lose in that race, and he ended up winning. That goes to show you the Democratic base was really energetic in the 2025 off-year elections. Let's see if they are the same for Graham Plattner's accusations. So, Maine, lean red. As of right now, I'm going to slightly agree with that, but I do think it'll be closer, probably about a 2-point Collins win if she does end up winning. And if she doesn't, I won't be shocked because I previously had Graham Plattner winning. I just can't pick one. This race, Maine will be the toughest state to predict in the 2026 midterm. So this is the map for the Senate. Now we're going to be moving on to the governor's race. So Claude AI predicts 53 to 47. The map will not change whatsoever at all. I disagree. I think it will probably be more like 51 to 49 Republicans or 52 to 48 Republicans. As of right now, I do have it 52 to 48. So one seat that the Democrats will gain, but according to Claude AI, it's going to be no difference compared to the 2024 electoral map. So unfortunately, I did run out of free text messages to Claude AI, so I'm going to unfortunately have to use Google Gemini in this video, which is good. At least we're using two. So Claude did the Senate, and then I would have Google Gemini do the governor's race. So Oregon, starting off with that, polls have shown it's competitive. So Oregon, Tina Kotek only won by 3 points last time, and it's predicting that Oregon is a likely Democratic state for the governor's race. I have to disagree. I think it'll be closer than that. I think Tina Kotek wins by about the same she did last time, just because it's a blue environment this year. She's going up against the exact same opponent as the last time, so it's basically the same exact race, so I don't expect things to really shift there or move there. She's severely disapproved of underwater in terms of approval, which is why she can lose. I think it's going to be lean instead of likely. I think it's more likely that she loses rather than she wins by a likely amount of more than 5 or 6 percentage points. But this is AI's prediction, not mine. I'm just telling you what I think. As for Nevada, Google Gemini characterizes it as a tilt Republican state. Joe Lombardo wins that. I do agree, but I do think it'll be by a couple percent, so that's a lean amount instead of tilts. I do think it's slightly underestimating Republicans in that aspect. And then as for Arizona, that's Katie Hobbs at a tie. I disagree. I think she wins by about 3%, so a lean amount. It's a toss-up, so I guess we're just going to leave that. And then for Georgia, it characterizes a toss-up to tilt Republican. So tilt Republican. I kind of do agree with that, although I do think that it could potentially be lean Republican just because Keisha Bottoms is, let's just say, a very poorly, a bad candidate, I would say. The only reason why she wins is because she energizes the African-American vote turnout, and that's probably going to be the case. You saw what happened with the Georgia Supreme Court, where Republicans ended up winning both of those races, but the one that they came within 3 points of winning was with the African American candidate on the Democratic side. And if that's the case, then I'm afraid that Georgia is only going to vote for basically whoever is representing them in terms of the race. And if that's the case, then maybe Keisha Bottoms can potentially win this race. But as of right now, it's characterized tilt for Google Gemini. If that's a good way to put it, I tried. And then as for Iowa, it is lean Republican. I do think that this is tilt Democrat as of right now, so I am going to disagree with that. But like I said, this is AI's prediction, not mine. And now I think lean is fair to say, but the polls are suggesting otherwise. That's pretty much how it is going so far. In the state of Michigan, it's characterizing as a toss-up. We're also going to leave that. We can't fill that. Wisconsin, we also can't fill it, characterized as toss-up. But, the incumbents are Democrats. So I'm just going to leave those alone. I know I did fill the toss-ups for the Senate race, but for the governor's race, let's not do that. In the state of Ohio, it's going to say lean to likely Republican for Vivek Ramaswamy. I do think that Ramaswamy barely wins. I won't be shocked if he loses just because he's not the best Republican candidate. He's also not the worst. Now, we did get, to 8% in the Republican primaries when he ran for president in 2024, which was shocking to me. He was never a politician. Poor name recognition. Not a lot of people knew him, and he still managed to get 8% on the same race that Donald Trump was on. So it won't shock me if Vivek does win by about 5 percentage points against Amy Acton. So this is Google Gemini's governor's race Prediction: if I were to fill Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, I would say all three of those states will be Democrat, and all of them will be lean together, except for Wisconsin. I would say tilt Democrat for Mandela Barnes. So this was, Google Gemini's prediction of the governor's race, and this was Claude's prediction of the Senate race. We can say that Claude definitely leaned more to the right compared to Google Gemini, leaning a little bit more to the left. But, fair overall, I would say very fair. But one last final reminder is to subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss out on my content. Press the like button, share this video. Don't forget we have memberships. If you're interested, you can find links in the description section. That's pretty much it. Thank you, everyone, for watching.